There comes a point in life when it feels as though every challenge is asking us the same question. Can you trust the process? We spend so much of our time trying to manage every detail, worrying about results, timing, and how others will react. We convince ourselves that if we work harder, push longer, and never loosen our grip, everything will finally come together. Yet the more we struggle to control every piece of the puzzle, the more drained, anxious, and discouraged we become. But what if the path to fulfillment isn't found in endless striving? What if the breakthrough you've been waiting for begins the moment you stop forcing life and start allowing it to unfold? There is a quiet power in surrender. When you release the need to control every outcome and learn to trust the greater flow of life, you create space for opportunities, blessings, and solutions to arrive naturally. In this journey, we're going to explore why letting go is not weakness, but wisdom, and why what you've been seeking may already be making its way toward you. 1. Your energy shapes what you experience. One of the most meaningful lessons found in spiritual practice is the understanding that life often mirrors the energy we carry within ourselves. We are constantly influencing our experiences through our thoughts, emotions, attitudes, and beliefs. Imagine your inner state as a signal that is always being transmitted. Every feeling you nurture and every belief you reinforce contributes to that signal. When your energy is rooted in trust, gratitude, confidence, and peace, you naturally become more aligned with experiences that reflect those same qualities. A calm mind sees possibilities. A grateful heart notices opportunities. A trusting spirit remains open to unexpected blessings. On the other hand, when fear and desperation take control, the energy you project begins to change. Instead of focusing on what is available, your attention becomes fixed on what seems absent. Instead of believing that good things are coming, you become consumed by the fear that they may never arrive. Desperation creates a cycle that is difficult to escape. It pushes you to chase relentlessly, overthink every situation, and force outcomes that may not be ready to unfold. While it may feel productive, it often generates more stress, frustration, and disappointment than progress. When your actions are driven by fear of not having enough, your focus remains centered on lack, and whatever dominates your attention tends to grow stronger in your experience. Everything shifts when you step back and replace fear with trust. The moment you stop obsessing over when something will happen and begin believing that it will happen at the right time, your perspective changes. You become more receptive. You notice possibilities you once overlooked. New relationships, opportunities, and insights begin appearing in ways you may not have expected. Many people assume that constant pressure is the key to success. Yet often, excessive force creates resistance. The harder you try to control every detail, the more tension you create within yourself. True alignment comes from confidence, not desperation. It comes from moving forward with faith instead of fear. When you stop chasing from a place of panic and start living from a place of certainty, life often responds in remarkable ways. Release your attachment to the outcome. Focus on embodying the energy of what you desire, and trust that what is meant for you is already moving closer each day. 2. Trying to control everything can hold you back. One of the deepest truths taught in many spiritual traditions is that attachment to control often becomes the very obstacle standing between us and peace. Human beings naturally crave certainty. We like plans. We want guarantees. We want reassurance that everything will happen exactly as we expect. But life rarely follows a script, and our insistence on controlling every detail can create unnecessary suffering. Think about holding sand in your hand. If your hand remains open, the sand rests comfortably in your palm. But if you squeeze too tightly, much of it slips through your fingers. Life behaves in a similar way. The more tightly we cling to specific outcomes, timelines, and expectations, the more tension we create. We become rigid, anxious, and closed off. Instead of flowing with life's possibilities, we become trapped in our own resistance. This resistance doesn't attract what we want, it often pushes it further away. When we are constantly trying to direct every event, manage every result, and predict every step ahead, we leave little room for growth, surprise, or unexpected opportunities. Our obsession with control narrows our perspective and prevents us from seeing alternative paths that may be even better than the ones we imagined. Choosing surrender does not mean becoming passive or abandoning responsibility. It means taking meaningful action while releasing the need to dictate every outcome. You still work toward your goals. You still make decisions. You still show up with commitment and purpose. The difference is that you stop carrying the burden of forcing everything into existence. You allow room for life to support you. This lesson applies not only to circumstances around you, but also to the world within you. Many people spend years trying to suppress emotions, control every thought, and manage every feeling out of fear. They believe that complete control will create safety. In reality, it often creates exhaustion. The constant battle against your own mind generates inner resistance. It steals your peace and keeps you trapped in a cycle of stress and worry. When you learn to trust the unfolding of life, something powerful happens. The inner struggle begins to soften. The need to fight every uncertainty starts to disappear. Your mind becomes quieter, your heart becomes lighter, and you begin experiencing a deeper sense of calm. This is where transformation begins. When you release the grip of control and open yourself to trust, you create the conditions for growth, clarity, and peace to emerge. Life begins to flow more naturally, and opportunities appear where obstacles once seemed impossible. Sometimes the greatest act of strength is not forcing your way forward. Sometimes it is having the courage to trust that life is already working in your favor, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning your dreams or lowering your expectations. It simply means releasing the need to force every outcome into existence. It means trusting that what belongs in your life will arrive at the moment it is meant to arrive. When you stop gripping so tightly to your desires, you create room for life to work on your behalf. New opportunities, unexpected blessings, and creative solutions can enter your experience naturally. Often, our greatest obstacle is the belief that everything must happen according to our plans. The harder we try to control every detail, the more resistance we create. We unknowingly place barriers between ourselves and the very things we hope to attract. But when we loosen our grip and trust the process, those barriers begin to dissolve. Surrender creates space. Space for growth, space for possibility, space for miracles. And when that space opens, life has a way of delivering opportunities that exceed anything we could have planned ourselves. Trust the journey, remain open, and allow events to unfold. You may be surprised by how beautifully life responds when you stop trying to force it. 3. The power found in stillness. Modern life is filled with constant stimulation. Notifications compete for our attention. Conversations never seem to end, and our minds are often running at full speed from the moment we wake up until we fall asleep. We're always processing, reacting, planning, and worrying. In such a noisy world, silence has become a rare and valuable gift. Yet one of the most profound spiritual truths is that genuine wisdom often reveals itself in moments of stillness. Silence is far more than the absence of sound. It is a state of inner quiet where deeper understanding can emerge. When the mind becomes calm, we gain access to insights that are often drowned out by distraction. Imagine looking into a lake. When the water is restless and disturbed, the surface reflects chaos and hides what lies beneath. But when the water becomes still, everything becomes visible with remarkable clarity. The mind functions in much the same way. When it is filled with endless worries, fears, and distractions, it becomes difficult to see solutions clearly. But when we create moments of quiet, the answers we seek often reveal themselves naturally. Stillness allows us to reconnect with our inner wisdom. It helps us hear what constant noise prevents us from noticing. It gives us perspective when confusion takes over. Silence also holds tremendous power in our interactions with the world. In a society where everyone is competing to be heard, there is strength in choosing calm over chaos. Not every situation requires a reaction. Not every disagreement requires a response. Not every challenge demands immediate action. Sometimes the strongest position is remaining centered, while everything around you is unsettled. This isn't about avoiding reality or withdrawing from life. It's about understanding that true strength doesn't always announce itself loudly. Often, confidence is quiet, wisdom is calm, clarity is still. Many people believe they must constantly speak, explain, defend, or prove themselves. Yet some of life's greatest breakthroughs occur when we step back, listen, and allow space for understanding to emerge. The universe rarely communicates through overwhelming noise. Guidance often arrives as subtle insights, gentle intuitions, and quiet realizations. But if our minds are constantly crowded with worry and overthinking, those messages can easily be missed. By embracing moments of silence, we strengthen our connection with ourselves and develop a greater sense of awareness. We become more present, more grounded, and more aligned with the natural flow of life. Stillness is not empty. It is full of possibility. Within silence, we discover direction. Within silence, we find peace. Within silence, we reconnect with the deepest part of who we are. And when we learn to value that stillness, we unlock a powerful source of clarity, strength, and purpose. 4. Trusting the timing of life. One of the greatest challenges people face is learning how to wait. We live in a culture that encourages instant results. We want success immediately. We want happiness without delay. We want answers, opportunities, relationships, and achievements as quickly as possible. When things don't happen according to our expectations, impatience often takes over. Yet one of the most transformative lessons in life is learning to trust timing. Life unfolds according to rhythms that are often far beyond our understanding. There are seasons of growth, seasons of preparation, and seasons of transformation. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it never will. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually preparation. Sometimes what appears to be a setback is actually protection. And sometimes what feels like waiting is actually life arranging circumstances in ways you cannot yet see. The reality is that not everything can be rushed. There are experiences that require growth before they arrive. There are opportunities that need preparation before they appear. There are blessings that require patience before they can be fully appreciated. Trusting timing means releasing the pressure to make everything happen immediately. It means believing that life is unfolding exactly as it needs to, even when the bigger picture isn't yet visible. This trust creates a sense of peace that impatience can never provide. Instead of constantly asking, "Why isn't it happening yet?" you begin asking, "What is this moment teaching me?" You stop fighting the present and start learning from it. Trusting timing doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean giving up on your goals or waiting for life to magically solve everything for you. It means continuing to move forward while remaining patient with the process. Take action, stay committed, keep growing, but release the demand for immediate results. Look at nature for inspiration. A flower cannot be rushed into bloom. No amount of pressure can force it to open before its season arrives. It blossoms when conditions are right. Human growth follows the same principle. When we try to rush life, we create stress, frustration, and unnecessary struggle. But when we trust the natural timing of events, we begin moving in harmony with a greater flow. And often, what eventually arrives is far greater than anything we could have forced into existence ourselves. That rhythm of life is always unfolding in a way that ultimately supports what we truly need. When you begin to trust this timing, you start to see that delays, pauses, and periods of waiting are not blocks in your path, they are an essential part of it. These in-between moments are often where the real transformation happens. They bring insight, emotional maturity, and deeper understanding. They give you the chance to grow into the person who can actually hold what you're asking for. While nothing seems to be happening on the surface, something important is happening within you. In these quieter phases, life is not standing still. Behind the scenes, everything is being arranged with precision. Circumstances are shifting, connections are forming, and situations are aligning in ways you may not yet be able to see. What feels like stillness is often quiet preparation. Trusting divine timing means learning to surrender to life's natural rhythm. It means accepting that even when things are unclear, you are still being guided. Even when progress feels invisible, you are still moving forward in the right direction. Patience, in this sense, is not inactivity or weakness. It is an active form of faith. It is the decision to stay grounded in trust instead of collapsing into frustration. When you truly believe that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, a deep sense of peace begins to replace anxiety. You no longer feel the need to force outcomes or rush the process. Instead, you begin to live with ease, presence, and openness. Life becomes something you experience rather than something you constantly fight against. And in that state of trust, something powerful happens. You allow life to surprise you. You stop limiting yourself to one expected outcome and become open to possibilities that may be even greater than what you originally imagined. 5. Your reality reflects what you believe you deserve. One of the most powerful insights found in Buddhist philosophy is the understanding that our inner beliefs shape the world we experience. Closely related to this is the idea that life responds not only to what we want, but to what we truly believe we are worthy of receiving. The universe does not simply react to desire, it responds to identity. It mirrors back the energy we carry about ourselves, especially the beliefs we hold about our own value. When you genuinely believe that you are worthy of peace, success, love, and happiness, your inner world begins to shift. That belief changes how you carry yourself, how you make decisions, and what you allow into your life. You naturally begin to move toward experiences that reflect that sense of worth. This is not about ego or entitlement. It is about recognition, understanding that you are not excluded from the good things life has to offer. However, when someone holds the belief that they are not enough, or that success is meant for others but not for them, that internal narrative becomes limiting. It quietly influences choices, behavior, and expectations. Without even realizing it, a person may begin to reject opportunities, doubt themselves, or settle for less than what they truly desire. This creates an invisible barrier, not because life is withholding, but because the internal belief system is out of alignment with abundance. A shift begins when that belief changes. As your perception of yourself transforms, your experience of life transforms with it. When you start to see yourself as someone who is deserving of growth, happiness, and fulfillment, resistance begins to fade. You are no longer fighting against possibility, you are opening yourself to it. In this state of alignment, life begins to respond differently. Opportunities feel closer. The right people appear at the right time. Doors that once felt closed begin to open in unexpected ways. Your belief becomes a signal, and that signal influences what you attract. This is not about wishing without action. It is about acting without self-doubt. It means you stop sabotaging your own progress with fear and hesitation. You begin to move forward with confidence, not because everything is guaranteed, but because you trust your own worth. When you believe you deserve more, whether that's success in your career, depth in your relationships, or peace within yourself, you naturally begin to align with experiences that reflect that belief. Over time, you may notice something subtle but powerful. Things that once felt out of reach begin to arrive more easily. What once seemed blocked starts to move. What once felt distant begins to feel possible. This is the essence of alignment. It is not about chasing or forcing life into submission. It is about becoming internally aligned with the reality you wish to experience. When your inner belief matches the life you are calling in, resistance dissolves. And in that space, life responds more freely, more naturally, and more generously than before. Because the moment you truly understand your worth, you stop asking life to prove it and start allowing it to reflect it. And as this shift deepens, you begin to realize that nothing outside of you was ever the real obstacle, only the limits you once accepted within your own mind. The moment you change the way you see yourself, everything around you starts to reorganize in response. Life doesn't suddenly become easier by chance. It becomes clearer because you are no longer standing in your own way. You stop shrinking, stop second-guessing, and start moving with quiet confidence. And in that space of self-belief and inner alignment, the life you once chased begins to flow toward you naturally, almost effortlessly, as if it had been waiting for you to finally believe you were ready to receive it. Ultimately, it comes down to your ability to match the energy that draws in what is meant for you. The more you begin to recognize your own value and stand firmly in it, the more life responds in kind. Your belief in yourself becomes the doorway through which everything you've ever hoped for begins to enter. 6. Calmness as a form of creation in a world that constantly praises speed, pressure, and non-stop effort. The idea that calmness could be powerful enough to create change often feels unusual. We are taught that results only come from exhaustion, constant motion, and endless striving. But there is another truth that many overlook. What if what you want doesn't come from pushing harder, but from becoming calmer? Calmness is not inactivity. It is a state of inner balance where your mind becomes clear, your emotions stabilize, and your awareness sharpens. In that state, you are no longer scattered or overwhelmed, you are centered. And from that centered space, you begin to see things differently. When you are calm, you become more connected to your inner guidance. You can hear your intuition more clearly. You are no longer reacting out of fear or pressure, but responding from understanding and alignment. This is where real clarity begins. From a spiritual perspective, everything is connected through energy. When your inner world is calm and steady, your energy becomes coherent, focused, rather than fragmented. And just like still water reflects light clearly, a calm mind reflects truth without distortion. But when anxiety takes over, everything becomes noisy. Your thoughts race, your emotions clash, and your decisions become reactive. In that state, it's easy to block what you are actually trying to attract without even realizing it. Calmness changes that completely. It removes resistance. It clears the inner clutter that prevents life from flowing smoothly. Instead of fighting against circumstances, you begin to move with them. And here is the deeper truth. Calmness is not separate from action, it enhances it. When your actions come from a peaceful mind, they carry more precision, more direction, and more impact. You stop wasting energy on worry and start investing it into what actually matters. This is why calmness is so powerful. It allows you to act without panic, decide without confusion, and move forward without resistance. You still take steps, but those steps are guided, intentional, and grounded. At the same time, calmness frees you from obsession over outcomes. You stop measuring your peace by how quickly things happen. You stop forcing timelines onto a process that has its own rhythm. Instead, you trust that what is meant for you will arrive in its own perfect way. And in that trust, something shifts. You create space, mental space, emotional space, energetic space for life to respond more freely. What once felt forced begins to feel natural. What once felt distant begins to move closer. This is the quiet power of calmness. It doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. Yet it aligns you so deeply with life that everything begins to organize itself around that state of peace. When you embody calmness, you are no longer just trying to attract a better life, you are becoming the very state that naturally draws it in. And in that state, life doesn't feel like a struggle anymore. It feels like flow. 7. Letting go opens the door to what's already waiting for you. One of the deepest keys to experiencing everything life has prepared for you is the simple but powerful act of release. When you let go, you create the space where life can finally meet you halfway and sometimes exceed everything you thought was possible. In today's fast-moving, success-driven world, we are constantly told that results only come through struggle. We're encouraged to push harder, chase faster, and never stop grinding. The belief is simple: more effort equals more success. So we exhaust ourselves trying to force outcomes into reality. But there is another truth that often gets overlooked. What if what you're searching for doesn't come from forcing life to bend, but from allowing it to unfold? From a Buddhist perspective, attachment is one of the root causes of inner suffering. When we cling too tightly to outcomes, people, or expectations, we create tension within ourselves. That tension turns into resistance, and resistance disrupts the natural flow of life. Instead of receiving, we start controlling. Instead of trusting, we start forcing. And in that state, we unknowingly block the very things we are trying to attract. When you learn to release that grip, something powerful happens. You open space. And in that space, life can move freely again. Letting go is not about giving up on your dreams. It's about releasing the need to control exactly how those dreams unfold. It means stepping out of the role of forcing everything and stepping into the role of trusting the process. You stop trying to micromanage every detail of your journey. You stop obsessing over timing and outcomes. You stop living in the anxiety of what if it doesn't happen. Instead, you begin to ground yourself in the present moment, trusting that each step is already unfolding in its own intelligence and rhythm. And in that shift, something subtle but life-changing begins to open possibility. New paths appear, new people enter your life, new opportunities begin to surface in ways you didn't plan for, but deeply need. Letting go is very similar to planting a seed. You don't pull it open to make it grow faster. You don't dig it up every day to check progress. You simply place it in the right conditions and trust the natural process of growth. Life works the same way. When you stop trying to control how your desires should manifest, you allow space for outcomes that may be far greater than anything you could have designed on your own. Letting go also means releasing the fear of loss. So much of our stress comes from the belief that if we loosen our grip, we might lose what we already have. That fear creates tension, and that tension blocks flow. But when you soften that fear, something changes. You begin to trust that whatever is truly meant for you cannot be lost. And whatever leaves was never aligned with you in the first place. This doesn't make you careless. It makes you free. Free from anxiety. Free from overthinking. Free from trying to control what was never yours to control in the first place. And in that freedom, abundance begins to move toward you naturally. Often, the greatest blessings arrive in forms we never expected. Life rarely delivers things exactly as we imagined, but it often delivers exactly what we need in ways we could never have predicted. When you release rigid expectations, you allow space for those unexpected miracles to enter your life. Letting go is also an act of trust. It is the quiet inner decision that says, even if I don't see the full picture right now, I believe life is working in my favor. And that belief changes everything. Because the more you trust, the more you relax. The more you relax, the more you align. And the more you align, the more life begins to respond in ways that feel almost magical. The truth is, the universe has always been arranging things in your favor, but it can only fully do so when you stop interfering with every step of the process. Letting go also means releasing the weight of the past. Old disappointments, fears, and limiting beliefs no longer get to define your future. You stop carrying yesterday's pain into tomorrow's possibilities. Instead, you create space for something new. New experiences, new love, new growth, new abundance. Letting go is not passive. It is a conscious, powerful decision to stop resisting life and start cooperating with it. It is a shift from control to trust, from fear to openness, from struggle to flow. And in that shift, something remarkable happens. You stop blocking your blessings and start allowing them. Because when you truly let go, you don't lose control of your life. You finally make room for it to expand. What you truly desire often comes into your life not through force, but through openness. When you stop gripping so tightly to outcomes, you create space for something greater to enter, something you may not have even considered possible. There is a quiet kind of magic that appears when you trust life enough to loosen your control. When you begin to believe that the universe is working with you, not against you, you allow it the freedom to bring your desires into reality in ways that go far beyond your expectations. Letting go is the doorway to receiving. The more you release your need to control every detail, the more room you create for life to surprise you. Every bit of surrender becomes space where new opportunities, blessings, and unexpected miracles can flow in. So take a moment right now, pause, breathe deeply, and soften your need to control everything. Trust that what you are wishing for is already in motion, already making its way toward you in the right timing. Because the moment you let go, you begin to align with everything that is meant for you. Right here, wherever you are, close your eyes if you can, take a slow breath in, and remind yourself, everything I need is already on its way to me. Trust the process, trust the timing, trust life itself, and allow yourself to relax into that trust. When you stop chasing, what is meant for you begins to find you with ease. Stay open, stay calm, stay receptive, and let life deliver what you truly deserve in its perfect way. And if this message brought you a sense of peace, take a moment to carry that feeling forward with you. Let it remind you that nothing is ever truly lost when you are aligned with trust. Because in the end, everything is unfolding exactly as it is meant to. Take care of yourself, and may a sense of calm always remain with you until we meet again. May you be able to find stillness even when life feels chaotic, peace even when everything around you feels loud and overwhelming, and unwavering faith in the timing of your life. Trust that even in moments of uncertainty, you are being guided, supported, and gently led toward what is meant for you. And as you move forward, may you carry this quiet strength within you, a reminder that no matter what happens, everything is unfolding in its own perfect way. In the end, life is not asking you to control everything, it is asking you to trust more deeply. Trust the timing. Trust the process. And most importantly, trust yourself. The more you release resistance, the more clearly you can see the path ahead. And when you look back one day, you will realize that everything was unfolding exactly as it needed to, even when you couldn't see it in the moment.